I don't know about you, but I spent ages trying to get good shots of fireworks, and it took me even more ages before I actually managed to get some. Tonight, there's going to be a firework display going on over there. Today is the 29th of October 2011, so it's a week before bonfire night. If we can get this film up for you early next week, you've got a chance to get some ideas of how to go about it. Now, it's already dusk, the sun has actually set, that's why the picture's looking a bit dull, etc. I've spent the last hour or so walking around the area because I want to find the best place to take the pictures from. If you're at a big organised event, it can be a little bit intrusive. If you're there with tripod cameras, kit, there's kids, there's people running around. Now, we don't want anyone to fall over anything or get hurt, do we? So I've walked up the hill over there because I have actually taken some great shots of fireworks at this same event from the top of a hill. But at the moment, it's all planted up with maize that's sort of this high and you can't see anything. The idea is, I'm going to shoot this way. Somewhere over those trees, fireworks will be going off. Fingers crossed, I hope. This is one of those things where, unfortunately, you do need a couple of specific pieces of equipment. I'm always saying you don't need specialist kit, but you do. This is going to involve very long, slow exposures, so a tripod is an essential, and it really does need to be a very, very sturdy tripod. That's why I brought out my biggie. This is a whopper. It weighs a blimmin' ton, but I want to be certain my camera isn't going to move at all during the exposure, because we're going to be talking possibly 30 seconds or more exposures. What's in the bag? Right. I'm using my ordinary Nikon bodies that I always use. Nothing particularly special in that. Lenses, I don't think this is really going to be a terribly wide angle shot. It might be. This is very much fly by the seat of your pants. It's often better in this rare case to have a slightly wider shot and crop into it a little bit, which I'm not a big fan of doing. But you've actually got to, you won't know where to put the camera until the fireworks are already going off. It's another thing, you can't watch the display and photograph it because you're too busy concentrating on the photography. Camera settings. Manual exposure. Fireworks are brighter than you might imagine. They're much brighter. So again, you've got to play with the exposure whilst the display is going on. It's a case of taking a shot, looking, ooh, that's too bright, darken it down, whatever. As a starting point, I'm going to kick off by setting my aperture to f11. I'm going to set my ISO to 200. My shutter speed, I'm going to manually set onto the bulb setting, B for bulb. That means that the shutter will stay open as long as I keep the button pressed. The way you know when to photograph is by watching what's going on. It's like following the action. You don't want to be looking through the camera. You want to try and have the camera set up. Check it every so often, but watch the action. I'll talk more about that as we're going on. Thank you for asking, Nick Jeffrey. So I'm going to be using anything from 18mm up to 200mm. As I say, I don't know which, because if the display is going on all across the sky, it might be cool to have a wide one. On the other hand, I might need to get in a little bit closer. The other piece of kit that you're going to need, on top of a very, very sturdy tripod, is one of these, a cable release. And I forgot to mention something. On my camera, I don't know, not all cameras have this, but I'm setting it onto mirror up, M up, it is on mine. What that does is, the first time you press the shutter button, the mirror locks itself up out of the way. The second time you press it, the shutter opens. The reason for this is I don't want to risk any vibration from the mirror jumping up during the exposure. So what I'm going to be able to do is, with my cable release, so I'm not touching the camera at all, I press the button once, the mirror will jump out the way, I'll probably go kangaroo, kangaroo and press it again. That will open the shutter. White balance. I'm not sure it makes a huge amount of difference. I'm shooting raw because I want to be able to maximise my ability to get the best from the shot. Just shooting straight JPEG could be a little tricky with this, but hey, give it a go if that's what you're used to shooting. White balance, I'm just going to set it on a normal daylight white balance setting, because if I do need to tweak it later, I can do that when I just process the raw out into a JPEG. Where do you focus? Another good question. Well, they're going to be quite a long way over there, So pretty much I can say you're going to be focused at infinity. Focus a long way away. Infinity is the little figure of 8 laying on its side. The way I will do it later on is I will put my focus dot in the middle of my viewfinder onto the roof of the house over there, and I will focus on that to lock the autofocus in place, and then just switch autofocus across to manual, because then when I press the shutter it won't suddenly change and hunt about. Autofocus will only lock onto something where there's a good defined edge. If your camera's pointing vaguely at a dark sky, the autofocus won't know what on earth to do with itself. So make sure you put it on single point autofocus, pre-focus it at a good distance away, and then switch it back to manual so that when you touch the shutter button, nothing's going to change. Finally, if you don't have a cable release, you could use the camera's self-timer. This isn't the best method because there's obviously going to be a delay between pressing the button and the timer going off. Plus, I'm not sure if you're able to lock your mirror up. I think I've covered all the bases here. There's no way to meter this at all. It really is a starting point. I know fireworks are bright because I've photographed them before. It's a case of starting with a middle aperture about f11. The shutter speed won't make a great deal of difference to the exposure because the fireworks will be lighting themselves. Anyway, fingers crossed this is going to work. We might come back here in 2 or 3 hours time and find the place is swarming with people. On the other hand, it's already spotting with rain. So fingers crossed, let's hope we get something good for you.